Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. From this tutorial video, we are going to be starting this series of React Native projects from beginners to advanced level that you was waiting for. So in today's video, we are actually be creating the first project of React Native, and that is going to be a calculator app. Actually guys, it is not going to be a simple calculator app that you have seen in multiple YouTube videos, and most probably all of the people know how to create a calculator app with all of the programming languages, as it is the first project, basic project for all programming languages. But in this tutorial video, you will learn how to create a calculator app with some advanced functionalities, like we are going to be adding some advanced level functionalities to make this project interesting for you all guys, and that is going to be a switch between light and dark mode theme that will be just changing the theme for our calculator application. You will learn how to add your dark theme and light theme switch mode in all of your application. So for this, we are going to be using the calculator app, as it will be really easy for applying it, and it will be really easy for you all guys to understand how you can add the switch mode between light and dark theme. So if till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell. So without wasting the time, let's jump right into the video and let's see how to create a calculator app with React Native. First thing that I will be doing over here is that I will be going through my directory that I have created to save our time. So over here I do have in my app.js file, in which I am having some heading and description, which is having some stylings to align it in the center and changing the font size of it. That's it guys, it is really simple. Then I have created a source directory, but the first thing that I wanted to tell you is that this is the React Native Expo project. Alright, so then I've created a source directory in which I'm having three directories. As you can see, one directory is known as component, one is context, and one is styles. In my styles directory, I am having this color.typescript file in which I've saved some colors like light color, dark blue, and all in a object variable that is being exported by default. So it will be really helpful for us in future. For example, when we are applying style to our calculator app buttons, it will be really easy to apply by calling their values. No need to just type manually the hex code and all. So I have already prepared it, so it will be helpful for us to just start directly creating and writing the code for building a calculator app. Then I have created this global style.typescript file in which I am having some stylings for our calculator application that is also being exported by default. So actually we are going to be ignoring these two files because we have already created it to save our time. The source code for the React Native projects will be provided in my different GitHub repository. The link will be provided in the description below. You can access it over there, and then you can start working in the code, or you can just change it. Depends on you. Alright guys, but for in this video we are not going to be applying these styles. We will be focusing on the functionality. So this is our styles directory, and inside my context directory I do have theme context defined. That is going to be helpful for us to switch between light theme and dark theme. By default, of course, it's going to be light theme, so we have passed over here light theme by default. That's it guys. Now let's come to the components. Now our app.js file, our components in which we do have button.typescript file and mykeyboard.typescript file. These are the three files that is important to create a calculator application. Alright guys, remember guys. Alright, so here comes our button.typescript file, and here comes our mykeyboard.typescript file. So we will be going through a roadmap actually. It will be easy for you all guys to understand. We are going to be first working with our app.js file, then we will be working with our button.typescript file in which we will be defining all of the buttons for our calculator, like the color theme I mean to say. And over here in my keyboard I will be defining all of my buttons with their values and the functionalities. In app.js file we will be defining the theme that will be switching between the whether it's dark theme or whether it's this light theme. Alright guys, so let's start coding it. So What I'm going to do over here is that first of all I'm going to be removing my all of the app.js code and keep it blank. When I save it now, as you can see, it is a blank code, so it's not going to display me anything, but still over here we can see the calculator app and the description that I have written earlier is being displayed. So ignore it. When we will write the code, it will be of course disappeared and will be updated to our live code. So in our app.js file, first we're going to be importing some statements. So first we'll be importing a use state hook from React. Then we'll be importing safe area view, style sheet, switch and text from React Native. Perfect. After that we are going to be importing my colors from the colors file that we have created in our styles directory. So for importing it, we're going to import my colors. Alright, and I'm gonna press enter, so it will directly just write my path directory. So I'm importing my colors. Let me just open my colors.typescript file, and you can see I've created a variable over here that is known as my colors that I'm importing from my source styles and colors.typescript file. After that I will be importing my theme context that is being imported from our context directory. Then we are going to be importing our keyboard that we are not actually created, so we'll just go through that at the end once we create our keyboard. After that we're going to create a function of an app that will be exported by default. And every function is going to return something. Perfect. Before our return statement, we are actually going to be creating a use state value to just switch between light theme and dark theme. By default, as I told you earlier in our intro, that we are going to be having a light theme. If you want, you can keep your app default theme by dark. But for now, we are going to go with light theme that is applied in all of our applications that we have seen yet. So once the user clicks on the switch button, we will switch between light and dark theme. So for creating a use state, you need to create a const, and we are going to be naming it as theme. We're going to be using use state hook, and by default we are going to pass the theme value that is going to be light. Alright, that's it. Now let's come to return, and in return we are actually going to be selecting our theme context that we have created. Alright, and then we're going to select provider, and the value of our theme context provider is going to be the default value that we have assigned in our use state hook variable that is known as theme. In this we are going to be having a safe area view, to which we are going to be adding some stylings to it. That is going to be like, this is going to be a safe area view. What is a safe area view widget? I mean to say that is called actually in Flutter widgets. So what is safe area view tag? We can say in React Native, it is going to be all of our applications from borders, that all things that is centered, we are going to change their background color. Okay, so style, we're going to select our theme, and if it is triple equals to light, if the value of our theme is light, then we're going to change the color of our container. So we're going to actually style it. So styles.container, and in array we're going to have styles.container selected, and then we're going to change their background color, and that is going to be black itself. Perfect. So over here it is not capital S, so keep in mind it is going to be small s, styles. And over here after styles.container we are having an object where we need to add comma. Perfect, guys. Inside our safe area view, now the main thing comes over here. We are going to be having a switch button. So for creating a switch button, let's call it right over here, that we have already imported from React Native. Here comes our switch. Let me save it. Once I save it over here, as you can see, the styles don't exist. So let's create a styles for our safe area view that we are going to actually create over here. we are gonna select our container, we're gonna select flex 1, we're gonna change the background color, that is going to be selected from my colors dot light. Perfect. Then we're gonna align the items in center. Justify content flex start. Perfect. Let's save it, and boom guys, as you can see the error is disappeared, because the error was being occurred because we haven't provided a styles variable and we are calling in our safe area view to apply that styles. So now we have called it, so that as you can see the error is disappeared. And if you see over here properly, you can see a switch button, right? Here is our switch button that is not working yet because we haven't applied any functionality to it. So once we turn it on, it's turning back off. But you can see over here we are having a button right over here. Alright, I will actually border it so it will be really easy for you all guys to see. Alright, so inside this switch button, now let's come to the switch button and let's apply some styling to the switch button. So first of all, I'm gonna be providing a value to the switch button that is going to be theme. We are gonna select our theme, and once the user check it, we are gonna set it to dark. And now on value change, when the value of our switch button is changed, what we are actually going to do, we are going to call a function in which we are going to set our theme, I mean to say set my use state hook theme variable value to from theme. If it is light theme, then I will be changing it to dark, and if it is dark, then I will be changing it to light. So now I will explain you what is happening over here when the value is changed. We are setting our theme variable, that means our use state variable. If it is light, we are gonna set it to dark. This question mark means if the light is true, we are gonna set it to dark, and if it is dark, then we are gonna set it to false. The colon means if it is false. Alright guys, perfect. After that, we are actually going to be changing the background color for our switch button. For changing the background color for your switch button, select iOS_background color and set it to any color you like. For now, I will be going with black. So once I do over here, as you can see, we are getting an error that is saying theme is read only while we are coming over here. So let's see, we have done something wrong over here. When we are selecting our value, we are setting it to dark. Perfect guys. So what was happening, other than equal to, what I did was I just added a subtraction. Damn it. That was a silly mistake that I made. We need to add triple equal to. Alright guys, remember to add triple equal to, don't add subtraction. It is triple equal to. If you can see over here, it is triple equal to, not subtraction. Otherwise you will be getting an error and you will be finding where is the error. It is subtraction. No, it is equal to. Perfect guys. So now as you can see, we are having our switch button and we are having our light theme and dark theme applied to our application. That is really amazing. In this 3 to 5 lines of code, we have created our dark theme and light theme switch mode for our application. That is really cool guys, right? Yeah, so it is really fun. So now we are having our dark theme and light theme switch enabled in our application. Now let's start by creating our calculator app buttons and functionalities. First, we are going to be actually styling their UI. So as I told you earlier in our intro that the CSS file is already prepared, we are going to be only writing the HTML file, and once we write the HTML file, the style will be applied to our app immediately, and that will be really interesting for you all guys to see because the stylings are already applied. So now let's come to the button.typescript file. In the button.typescript file, we are actually going to be importing some of the statements. That is going to be use context. We are going to be importing touchable opacity, text from React Native, theme context, and we are going to be importing the styles from our global styles to apply to our buttons. So let's import. Alright, so now we have imported all of our statements that we need to import for styling our button.typescript file. Once that is done, we are going to be creating a function that is going to be named as button, and that will be exported by default. So let's create an export default function. We're going to name it as button. It's going to return something that we're not going to write it now. Alright, so now inside our button we are actually be creating a use context. We're actually going to be using the use context, and that is going to be helping us to switch between dark theme and light theme. When we're switching between dark theme and light theme, what we need is we need to even change the styling for our buttons. Like when we are in dark, we are going to be just changing the text color. When we are in light, we are going to be changing the text color to black. That all. So for doing that, we are actually going to be creating a variable known as theme over here, and then we are going to be using use context hook, in which we are going to call our theme context that is being imported from theme context file that we have created inside our context directory, that is used for switching between light theme and dark theme. Perfect. And before our function, we are actually going to be creating an interface that we're going to call as button props, and we're going to create some props for our button functionality to work. The first is going to be the on press prop, which is going to be called void. Alright, we are going to be assigning it manually to all of our buttons with their different values. So we need a title for our button, and that is going to be string. Then we need is blue button. We are going to be having our blue button in our calculator app, and we are going to be having a gray button for our operators in our calculator app. So for them, we are going to be assigning the value of boolean. Alright, perfect guys. Once we have created our button props, now let's come to the return statement, and now let's create our button. One is going to be our blue buttons for our like equal to and all, and one is going to be for our operators. So after coming over here in your return statement, we are actually going to be creating a touchable opacity button. In our touchable opacity button, we are going to be applying it some stylings. So for applying a style to your touchable opacity, we are going to be using style, and then we are going to first pass is blue. If is blue is true, okay, if is blue is true, then we are going to apply styles to it, that is going to be button blue, the color of a button that is going to be blue. And if it is false, what we're actually going to do over here is that if it is false, we're going to set it to is gray. Alright, perfect. And if is gray is true, then we're going to styles dot, we're going to assign it button of gray. And if it is false, then we're going to set theme to light. And if it is true, then we're going to set our styles dot to button light. And if it is false, then we are going to style it to button dark. Perfect. And in our touchable opacity, we need an on press event. So for that, we are going to be having on press over here. Actually not over here, it is going to be inside our first touchable opacity tag, that is going to be known as on press. And once the user presses it, what we need is we need to call a function that will be assigned manually. So in our button props, as you can see over here, we have created an on press void function. So we're going to call it right over here, on press. Perfect. Once that is done, we can see that we're getting some issues because we haven't yet imported all of these button props as a parameter in our function. So for fixing that, you need to come inside your button function parenthesis, create an object, I mean to say a curly braces, and call all of these props that we have created. Title prop, on press prop, is blue prop, and is gray prop. That's it. Perfect. As you can see, all of the red marks are disappeared. Now inside this touchable opacity, we are actually going to be having a text, alright, which is going to be having some stylings provided to it, and the stylings are going to be same. When we switch in light theme, when we switch in dark theme, what we actually need to do is that we need to change the text color, or we need to change a button color. Anything you wanted to do, you can just assign it right over here, whether it is button or whether it is text. But for now, we are going to be keeping the button color same, but we're going to change the button's text color to light. Whether it's in light theme, we're going to go with black. Whether it's in dark theme, we're going to go with white. So in style, we are actually going to select is blue or is gray. If it is true, then we're going to select our styles dot small text light. Perfect. Actually, we are not going to be adding a comma, that can cause an error. If it is false, then we're going to select our theme, and then we're going to assign it dark. And if it is true, then we're going to select our styles dot, and we're going to set it to light. And if it is false, then we're going to select our styles, and then we're going to set it to dark. Perfect. And what we're actually going to be displaying in this text is going to be the values that will be assigned from our mycomputer.typescript file, and that value will be, we're going to be getting it from our title props. So we're going to call a title in this curly braces. Perfect guys, we are all set with our button.typescript file. And as you can see, when I do save it, we are not seeing anything over here because of course guys, we haven't called it yet. So for displaying all these things in front end, we actually need to call it in our app.js file, but no need to call it, as it is the functionality that will be running on the back. So we are going to be styling our my keyboard, and we're going to call our my keyboard file right in our app.js file. So actually we are going to be calling it before, so once we do any changes, we can see it live in our application. So I will be importing my keyboard file that we have created from the directory which is there inside source components, and it is named as mykeyboard.typescript. And once it is called, I would like to call it right after my switch statement. So for calling your TypeScript file, you actually need to call the name that you have imported it with. That is known as mykeyboard. Perfect. So now what is going to happen, now as you can see, it is saying like check the render method. We're getting an error because it is invalid. That is happening because in our mykeyboard.typescript file, it is empty and we are not displaying anything. What we are doing, what we actually did over here, I will be explaining you it in detail. So we are calling our mykeyboard file in our app.js file. So whenever the code is written, we can see the changes live in our front end, as because our front end is being displayed, our code that is being displayed in our front end is included in our app.js. So to display this mykeyboard code, we are going to be importing the TypeScript file to our JS file and call it right over here to display it after our switch button. Perfect guys. Alright, so now let's come to our mykeyboard.typescript file. In this TypeScript file, first we are going to be importing our React, then we are going to be importing our React button, then we are going to import view text, and we are going to be importing styles, and we are going to be importing the my colors from our colors directory. So let me just write all of the import statements. Perfect. So as you can see over here guys, we have imported all of our code that we need for styling our my keyboard .typescript file. Once that is done, we are going to be creating a function that will be exported by default, and we're going to name this function as myKeyboard. And every function is going to return something. Perfect. So actually what we're going to do over here now is that in our myKeyboard, all of our buttons defined like 1, 2, 3 operators equal to everything, and our functionalities, I mean to say our function for running that button functionalities, will also be defined in this file, and our state values of course to run that functionalities. So first of all, to keep everything easy for you all guys to understand, we are going to be creating all of the functions that we need to run this calculator app. So before our return statement, alright, we're gonna create all of the functions that we need. So the first I will be creating the functions. Once all the functions are created, I will be explaining you in detail why this function we are creating and why it will be used for. First function we are going to create it to handle our number press. Second function we are going to create it to handle our operation press. Third function we are going to create it to clear it. That is going to be named as clear. Then the fourth function that we are going to create, it is going to be named as first number display. And the fifth function that we're going to create is going to be named as get result. Alright guys, so total we have created 5 functions to make our calculator app work. The first function is going to be handling our number press. Whenever the user presses the number, we're going to call this function. Second function is going to be handling our operation press. Whenever the user clicks on an operator, whether it's division and all, we are going to call this function. Third, we are having a clear function. By the name of the function, you can get to know what it's going to be used for. It is going to be used for clearing all of our calculator history. Then the fourth function that we have created is going to be the first number display function. For example, when we are dividing in a real calculator app, or when you have seen in an iOS calculator app, when we are actually going with 5 multiply, once we do that and type the third number, our numbers will go on top and the 5 equals to, and our value will be displayed at bottom. So for that we are going to be using the first number display function. Then we are going to be having the get result function that is going to be displayed to get the result, the final answer for our multiplication or the division that the user have actually done. So now I have explained to you all of these functions, what we are going to actually do with these functions. But once we come in practical to just write down, you will understand it in depth. So don't worry if you haven't understand it yet. Now once we come and once we write the code in it, then you will understand it in detail. So if till now you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, guys, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification bell for upcoming projects, whether it is React Native, Flutter and many more programming languages. Now let's come to the return statement. In our return statement, we are actually going to be styling our buttons. So for saving our time, what I'm actually going to do over here is that I have already coded it, but I'm going to be copying and pasting it right over here, and once that is done, I will be explaining you in detail. Alright guys, other than copying the code and pasting it over here and explaining you later onwards, that is going to be really tough. I have seen in most of the programming videos, what people do is actually they have prepared the code, they do copy and they do paste and they do explain. But once you are not doing it practical, guys, it is not going to be understandable. So let's come to a return statement and let's write it manually and explain you in detail. In this, we're going to be having a view of style and we're going to provide some stylings to it. So styles dot view bottom. Alright, So in this return statement, we have created our first view, in which we're going to be having a second view, which is going to be having some styles provided to it manually, like height, which is going to be 120. Then we're going to be having a width, which is going to be 90%. Then we are going to be having justify content, that is going to be flex end. And then we are going to be having an align self, that is going to be center. That's it for our second view styles, and once it is done, just close your view. And in this view, we are going to be having a text that is going to be actually be displaying our operations and display our first number. For that, inside this we are going to be creating a text, and we're going to provide some stylings to it, that is going to be styles dot screen second number. In this text, what we actually need to display is going to be a second number that we haven't called or we haven't created it yet. So don't be confused. Once it is done, we are going to be creating it. So over here we're gonna call our second number, and then we're gonna have another text to which we're gonna provide some stylings manually, that is going to be a text color to purple. Then we're gonna set the font size, which is going to be 50, and the font weight, that is going to be 500. Perfect. And in this text we are actually going to be displaying the operation. Alright guys, so as you can see right over here, we are getting the error why we haven't defined second number or we haven't defined operation. That is why. So for defining it, come right over here. 2 minutes guys, 2 minutes. Over here actually we need to call operation. By mistakenly actually I just pressed command Z, so it just went back. Okay, so let's come back over here, and inside our export default function we are going to create some of the state values. So you can import it manually. If you haven't imported it, you can just directly use it by using react.useStateHook. So we are going to be using it manually. We are not going to be importing it in our mykeyboard.typescript file. So first is going to be for our first number. Second is going to be for our second number. And keep in mind, all of these use hooks are going to be having a string values. So we're getting a string values, we are going to pass double quotes inside this use state hook. Third, we are going to call operation. This is also going to be an empty string. And the fourth, we are going to create it for a result. That is also going to be react.useStateHook, and we are not going to be setting it as a string. Actually, it is going to be result, so we are going to be assigning it a number, of course guys, right? So for doing that, we are going to select our number. Alright, and or if it is null, then we are gonna pass our useState a value of null right now. Perfect guys, so we have already set up our state variables. Once that is done, now as you can see, the error is disappeared from here. Now let's press Command plus S to save, and boom guys, as you can see, now we have our switch button and all things are set up. There are no values in our result. That is why you can't see anything over here. For example, if you want to see whether it is working fine or not, we're actually going to just type some text. For example, we're gonna go with TT. So you can see over here it is being displayed. Perfect. So that means our app is working fine. We're gonna call operation right over here. That is going to be displaying our operation that we have actually selected. Alright, so once that is done, after this we are actually going to be coming right after our second number text. We will be displaying our first number display. Perfect. Alright guys, so now we have set update. Now once that is done, after our first view, that is our here, after our first view, as you can see, we are getting some issue over here. So let's see what is that issue that is being occurred. We are having our text, this text is ending right over here, this text is ending right, and we're calling our function, and after this view. Alright, let's see it later onwards. After this we're gonna create a view. Alright, after this we are going to create a view which is going to be having a style that is going to be styles.row. And now what we are actually going to be doing in this coming view tags that we are going to be creating, we are going to be assigning our operator buttons and our number buttons like 1, 2, 3, subtraction, addition and multiplication. So in our first view we are going to be having 4 buttons displayed in our first row. So we have created a view over here. In this view we are going to be having a button tag called, to which we are going to pass a title to it. That is going to be, first one is going to be for clearing the code, and we're going to set it background color to gray. Then we're going to call an onPress function. So once the user presses this, we're going to call a function that is going to be a clear function that we have created above. But in that function we haven't yet written any functionality code, so it's gonna be empty. It's not gonna do anything. It's gonna just give us an error. Once all things buttons are created, we're gonna write the functionality for this clear and any other functions. Alright, so we have created a clear button. After this we are gonna create a button that is going to be for our operations. So let's create a button which is going to be having a title. So over here the title, that is going to be a plus symbol. Then we're going to be having this, and then we're going to be having subtraction. Perfect. And then we're going to set its background color to is gray, and then we're going to have an onPress function called over here, and then we're going to name that function. We're going to call that function that is handle operation press. And in this we are going to pass the value to it that will be accessing in our function for our handle operation, and that is the value of this button is plus and subtraction. Alright, perfect. Or after this we are going to be seeing why we are getting the error in our button. To see that, let's scroll to the top, and as you can see we have imported our button and everything needs to be set perfectly. First of all, let's create our first row, and after that we will see why we are getting this error. Now we are going to be creating 2 more buttons. One is going to be for parameter, and one we're going to say, I don't know what it's called, it's some an operator called like this, and then we're going to be having a division operator. Alright, it's known as percentage. Sorry, I apologize for that. And we're gonna set its background color to is gray. On press, we're gonna call a function. And this one is going to be for division. For division we are actually be having a division symbol that is not included in my keyboard. As you can see over here, it is not actually included in my keyboard. So how will I get that? So to get that, let me just find it anywhere in Google, or let me generate it from ChatGPT. Alright guys, so here comes our division symbol, and then we're gonna set its background color to is blue, and then we're gonna have an onPress function called over here, and in this we're gonna call handle operation press, and the same symbol we're gonna pass it right inside the double quotes. Alright guys, that's it guys, perfect. So now we have created our first row, but over here as you can see we are getting an error. So let's figure out why we are getting this error. Alright guys, so before figuring out the source code, let's do one thing, is that let's prepare all of our buttons and inside in every single row, and after finishing that, let's see why this error is being occurred. So for doing that, what I'm going to do is, for saving our time, I have already just created the code as I explained you what we did over here. So we're gonna be copying and pasting it over here further, and then I will be explaining you what I have pasted actually. So in this I created a row in which, as you can see, I have 4 buttons that will be displayed in a row. One is for clearing, one is for some operations, division, and some percentage. Alright guys, so let's get all things created. So alright guys, perfect, and as you can see over here we have actually created our all of the buttons. We have defined its value. So let me first explain you before starting the explanation. As you can see, our calculator UI design is actually being displayed over here in our front end, right? That is really amazing. So let me explain you what is happening over here. Still we are getting this red button and red operator error. We'll figure it out later once we finish all things setting it up. So over here, as you can see, in our second row I created a same button that we have created in our first row. We are passing it a title. We are not passing it a background color, as it's not going to be having a background color. For our operators only, we are going to be having a background color that you can see it right over here. So we are passing it as is blue, and then we are calling an onPress function that is going to be handling an operation. For this is going to be handling a number press function that we have actually created for numbers. Alright, same thing we have done for our operators. We are calling an operation press function. For our numbers, we are calling a number press function. It is really simple. That is only the thing that we have done over here yet. We have pasted our numbers like 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 and dot 0, a cross number and a result that is going to be an equal to. Simple, it's that simple. So if you're figuring how I got this cross icon, guys, actually I generated it from Google. I just copied and pasted it right over here. You can just get it from Google, and if you want to get directly in an easy way, the source code will be provided in the description below. You can go through the source code, select, copy, that's it, you are all set. Perfect. And now as you can see, we have our beautiful calculator app UI design ready over here in front of us. And now let's try to switch between light theme and dark theme, and as you can see, that looks really amazing. In our dark theme, our calculator looks amazing. In our light theme, of course, it is matching and it looks really cool. So now we have already set up our front end, our calculator app's UI design. Now it comes to the main thing, that is going to be the back end, adding magic to our calculator app to make it work, adding functionalities to it. So let's start adding functionalities. So we'll start from basic to then we'll go to the advanced. I mean to say, we're going to start from clear functionalities that are easy. We're going to do it first, so it will be really easy for you all guys to understand. Then we're going to go with other functionalities. So first let's come to the clear functionalities, in which we're actually going to select all of these pure state variables and set it to empty. Alright guys, so we are all set up over here, and the set result is not going to be an empty code, so it's going to be null. Alright guys, it's going to be null. I apologize for that. Alright, so now we have prepared our clear function. So once the user clicks on this clear button, we are actually, what we're going to do is we are going to clear everything which is there in our use state variables. Right over here, everything will be deleted. Alright, so our clear function is set up. Now let's come to our handle operation press function. In this function, what we are actually going to be getting as a parameter, the button value. We need the button value of the operation that the user has pressed in a string. In this, we are going to set our operation, my state variable's value, to the button value that the user has clicked on. Then we are going to set our second number to our first number variable that we have created. I mean to say a use state variable. And after that, we're going to set our first number to empty. That's it guys for our handle operation press function. Now let's come to handle number press. Once the user presses on the number, what we are actually going to do, how we are actually going to be getting the value of the button that the user has pressed on. So for that, come over here and pass a button value, and we need the value in a string. Alright, and over here we are going to be using the if loop. If our first number dot length is less than 10, then only it's good to go, and if it is greater than 10, then we are not going to be entering. If you have seen in a calculator app, when you're pressing a numbers on a first number, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 digits is happened, then it's not gonna further take any more calculation. It will just take less than 10. So we are actually adding a validation to our calculator app to make it more functional. This feature actually I didn't told you in the intro, but this feature is also included in this application. For example, I'll show you an example. Here is my calculator. Let me turn on my mobile. Alright, here is my actual calculator. Alright, you can see right over here, here's my calculator. I don't know whether it is really clear or not. Here comes my calculator. For example, I'm entering the digits. When it's 10, it's just stopped. For example, over here in my calculator app in Android, you can't enter more than 15 digits. You can see over here a notification that you can't enter more than 15 digits or at your first number values. In our application, what we're actually going to do, we're going to set it to you can't enter more than 10 digits. Alright guys, so that is only what is happening over here. If our first number length is less than 10, we're actually going to go further. If it is greater than 10, we are actually not going to take it. That's it. Then we're going to set our first number to our first number, and that will be added by our button's value. Perfect. So that is all for our handle number press, handle operation press, and a clear function. Now we have two functions left. One is to get result and one is to first number display. First, let's come to the get result function. What we're actually going to do over here. Let me just align it. As you can see, the code is not aligned in a proper way. Perfect. In this get result function, we are actually going to use switch statement. I mean to say switch case statement that you have learned in JavaScript basics and even in React Native. Over in this get result, we are actually going to create a switch statement which is going to take an operation in it. We're going to switch between an operations, and if the case is this, what we're going to do. Actually, what is going to happen over here, if the user presses plus, what we're going to do, we're going to add that first number with our second number. That all things are only going to be defined in our switch case statement in our get result function. So coming over here in my switch statement, we're going to be having a case. If the case, the operator is addition, what we're actually going to do is, the first thing is that we're going to clear That means we're going to call a clear function. We are going to clear all of the values that we are having inside our variables, and then we're going to set the result value to the answer, and we're going to display it over there. All of our other values will be deleted by default at start. Then we're going to set our result, alright, and we're going to use the parse integer over here, and we're going to select our second number, and then we're going to add our second number with our first number in our parse integer. Perfect. And after that we're going to be having a break. Amazing. So I will explain you what is happening over here. If in the case, for example, when we scroll down over here and when we see over here in our equal to, we are calling a function that is known as get result. Once the user clicks on over there, and if in the case the user has selected an operator that is plus, we are going to call our clear function to delete all of the values that the user have entered. Then we're going to set result with the first number and a second number, and we're going to be adding it, and we're going to display the value in our set result, and that will be fetched and will be displayed right over here. Alright, so now once our first case statement is done, let's go with our second case statement. In our second case statement, we are actually going to go with subtraction. In subtraction, the same thing we're going to repeat again. Clear set result parse integer, second number we're going to select, and then we're going to subtract it with parse integer. That's it, guys. Perfect. So we are all set, and after that we are going to be having a breakpoint. Same thing we are going to be doing it for our multiplication and our division. So what I will be doing, actually I'm going to be copying this code and I'm going to be pasting it 2 times more to save our time, and then let's align it in a proper way to make it look good. Cool. Alright, perfect. This third case is going to be for multiplication, and over here what we need to do over here, just change the symbol to multiplication. The last one is going to be for division. Same thing, we're gonna just change it over here to division. That's it. Perfect. We have saved a lot of our time. After that we're going to be having a default. What we're actually going to do, default, we're gonna call our clear, and then we're gonna set result to 0. If the user haven't yet just multiplied, divided, or did anything in our calculator app, by default we are going to display a number known as 0, a 0 value. So we're going to set result to 0, and then we're going to have a break statement. Let's save it, and boom guys, perfect. So now we are set up with our get result function. Am I right? Yeah. Now let's come to the last and the most important function, that is the first number display function. What we're actually going to be doing in this function is that we're going to be actually seeing all of the styles, the numbers that we're going to display, how it will be displayed in our result. All things will be defined in this function. So over here we're going to be using the if loop. We're going to run if loop multiple times, not else if, or we're going to run else loop. We're going to run if loop multiple times. So it will be a best practice for you all guys to learn if loop by creating this calculator app. Alright, so first we are going to create a if loop, and we're going to select our result, and if it is not equal to null, what we're going to do, we are going to return a text. We're going to apply some styling to it manually. So we're going to select a result, and we're going to write numbers like 1 2 3 4 5 9, 4 times 9. If it is true, we're going to select our styles dot, and we're going to set it to show as a screen first number, the styling that I have provided to it, that is screen first number. After that we're going to select our color, and we're going to change the color to the colors that I provided in my styles color.typescript value, that is going to be result. Perfect. After that, if it is false, we're gonna select styles dot, we're gonna set our screen first number. Alright, and we're gonna change the font size of it to 50. We're gonna change the color of it to colors dot, sorry, not colors, actually I have already defined it in our my colors dot result. Perfect. After that, what we actually need to display in this text, so let me just get right over here. In this we need to display the result. If the result is true, then we're going to convert it to string. Perfect. Amazing. After that, after a return of our if first loop, then we're going to create a second if loop in which we're going to select our first number and 2 times, and we're going to select our first number's length. It should be less than 6. If it is less than 6, I need to say, if it is less than 6, then we're going to return a text to which we're going to be applying styling manually. That is going to be styles dot screen first number. And over here we would like to display first number, I mean to say the use state variable's value that is inserted in it. Then we are going to create our third if loop in which we are actually going to select our first number, and if we are going to say if it is triple equals to empty, for our first number is actually empty, then what we are actually going to do, we are going to return a text to which we are going to be applying it as styles, that is going to be styles dot screen first number. And in this we are going to be passing value to it, that is going to be 0. Perfect. I think so all things are set up. Alright, we have, if our first number is empty, guys, if the user haven't entered any kind of a number or the selected any kind of a number, by default we are actually going to show them number of 0. As you can see, once I save it, the 0 is being displayed. If I change it to 2, it will be displayed as 2, but when the user haven't selected any kind of a number, we are going to display it as 0. Perfect. So we have done with our third if loop. Now let's go with our fourth if loop, that is our second last if loop, in which we're going to select our first number. If it is length is greater than 5, we are checking, and if our first number length is less than 8, what we're actually going to do over here is that we're going to return a statement in which we're going to return a text which is going to be having some stylings provided to it as an array, in which you're going to select our styles dot screen first number, and we're going to change the font size of it to 70, not 760, it's 70, guys. Actually in this text, actually I would like to display my first number. Perfect. That is in my first number use state variable. Once that is done, I will be closing my return with a semicolon. And that is for our fourth if loop. After that, we are actually going to go with our last if loop, in which we're going to select our first number dot its length. If it is greater than 7, what we're actually going to do over here is that we're going to return a text which is going to be having a style which is going to be an array, as we're going to be applying multiple styles. So styles dot screen first number, and then we're going to change the font size of it to 50. And what I would like to display in this text variable, that is going to be our first number. Perfect, guys. All set. We can see that we're getting an issue because of a return statement over here. So let's end it with a semicolon. And we can see still the issue is being occurred because of a wrong value. I mean to say the parenthesis I have used. It's not curly braces, it is a circle braces, I mean to say a parenthesis. Alright, perfect. The error is fixed. Let's have a save over here, and as you can see, we are getting an error at the line number 130, and that is because of view statement, I think so. Let's figure it out. So as you can see guys, we have successfully written all of our functionalities and we have completed every code for creating our calculator app, but over here comes an issue. So why I didn't fix this issue at start? Why didn't fix it? Because guys, I want you all guys to understand what happens. So many people comment down below when they're just programming. For example, in my React Native login and registration tutorial video, what was happening, I wrote a code, people are writing that, but they got an error and they're commenting me guys like, sir, I'm getting this error, can you please help me to fix it? Sure, I'm there to help you. If you're getting any error, comment down below and send that you have sent it the screenshot to fullstackdeveloper13 Gmail address. I will fix that and I will reply to you and even let you know the fix. But what you need to do it by yourself, try to fix it to become a professional developer. For example, right now we are creating a calculator app and suddenly we got an error that our button tag, we have defined it, but still we are getting an error and our app is not working fine. So after your all code is written, if you can see that still it is not my problem, why I'm getting this error, then figure it out and try to fix it by yourself. So now what we're actually going to do is we're going to debug our code and we're going to see where we have done anything wrong. So now the code is not from React, error is not from somewhere like we have done wrong, somewhere we have just missed something, so we need to get to know that. So now actually I'm going to be searching where I have done mistake. I will just fix it and I will be right back. Alright guys, so as you can see over here, I was just compressing, I mean to say I was just what will I say, like collapsing all of my functions. Then I just got to know that inside my fourth function, that is the first number display, I'm having the if loops running over here. Once that is done, I'm having const get result function also created in it that shouldn't be created inside it. So I'm gonna be cutting that out from there and gonna paste it right after the function ends. Let me just paste it above and then open this function back again, and as you can see in this I'm having my return statement defined. That shouldn't happen, so I will be fixing that. This collapses, perfect. Once that is done, we are going to be having a return statement over right over here. Perfect. Alright guys, so as you can see the error is fixed. That was the error from me guys. Now you got how was the error being occurred. I created a component in which I created a function already over here. I created a function. Inside that function I created another function by mistakenly, and inside that function only I was having my main function return statement. That was the issue that was occurred over here. So now let me just figure out the last issue, that is for this main function ending braces. Alright, here comes my export default function. Here comes my first number display. Still there is some issue. I'm gonna cut this thing to fix this thing out. Let me come over here to our first number display. We can see we are having an if loop being running over here and it just ends right over here. Perfect. Let me end it with a semicolon and collapse this component. Let me come to my return statement and close my main function, and then let me align it. Perfect guys, as you see over here, as you have seen over here, what was the error? It was in front of you all guys. That was the error that was happening right over here. So we just figured out all of our code and we fixed it. What you actually need to do is you need to figure out what you have done wrong. The tutorial video is correct that you are watching. You need to figure out what you have done wrong. So be patient, figure it out. Once you figure it out, you will be more happy than finding a solution from another person. And then only you will be confident you that you are a professional developer. Now you are becoming actually a professional developer now. Alright guys, so all things are set up in our mykeyboard.js file. Let's save it and let's run our application. Perfect. So all of our calculator app is successfully created. Now let's see whether the functionality is working fine or not. First, let's go with the dark theme and light theme switch mode. That is the main functionality. Amazing, it is working fine. We are changing our button color from black to white when we switch to dark theme. Now let's see whether the operations are working fine. 5 multiply. As you can see, when I'm 5, I'm multiplying it by any other number. The first number went to the top of the second number that we have just defined over in our get result. Now let's go 5 multiplied by 5, that equals to 25, in which we're giving it a different text color. You can change it as you like. For now I'm going to go with light blue. I can clear it. I will just write any kind of a number, and when I presses on this cross button, it's gonna delete one number. Alright, let's go with the last text for this calculator app, and we're gonna go with like 78 divided by 8 equals to 9.75. Perfect. 25 subtracted by 5 is equal to 20. Perfect. Let's go with 25 multiplied by 5 is equal to 125, and that value, the answer that I got, I need to add it by 5 is equal to none. Oh sorry, I did some mistake. 5 multiplied by 5 is equal to 5. 25 multiplied by 5 is equal to none. Actually guys, we are not able to select the second number. That is my mistake. 8 multiplied by 8 is equal to 64. Okay, 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. As you can see, the functionality for the addition is also working fine. So that's it guys. As you've seen, we have successfully created our calculator app with React Native. Let me just try it in our dark theme. Boom, that looks really good. That is why I just choose this background color for our text. You can even change it once the theme is being switched for the result text color. For now I'm going to keep it light blue as it matches with our dark theme and our light theme. It is appeared. That's perfect. So alright guys, in this video you have learned how to create a calculator app, actually a full function calculator app with React Native in full tab. So if you like the video, please do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and press the notification and bell, and please share it with your friends who wants to learn programming. Alright guys, the source code will be provided in the description below, and I will see you in the next amazing React Native project tutorial video. Till then, peace.